we're all here, I would love to say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, if I may. We are going to have a little bit more of a longer meditation today. We are going to decompress from the entire year because you know what's really funny? I actually didn't realize that we had sermon today. As you could possibly realize by my last sermon, I didn't think that we were going to be here. So yesterday, when I was saying Merry Christmas Eve to everybody, people were like, I don't think, okay, sure. They thought that I was just like super excited. That wasn't the case. I really thought I was a day off. So today's a little unprepared, and I'm okay with that. If you're okay with that, we're going to be here together and we're going to celebrate being alive. We're going to celebrate that light, that love, that happiness, and we're going to kind of recap everything that's gone on this year and what we've talked about as well. Just really, again, going through the physiological explanation of the body through our ancient text and relating it to metaphysical and the earth cycles. So if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, comment below, do all of the things to increase our algorithm range. We'd really appreciate that. Now, God is light and love. God is energy. That's undebatable. And when we look at things on an energetic level and we look at things from a concept of being energy, we want to work with that energy. We want to work with that cycle. We want to work with those. We don't want to go against energy, right? What happens when you go against momentum? You get friction. We don't want that. So when the cycle of the earth is in a certain space, it is in our best interest to align with those frequencies and that consciousness to be able to learn what we need to and to get the most out of that energetic time. And right now, at the end of the year, we have this moon coming, this cold moon. And so December 2026, or I'm sorry, December 26, 2023 presents a very unique time. And it causes us to be able to harness a lot of cosmic energy from God energy. That is not separate. It is very egocentric to think that those two things could be separate. It's not. It's the same. It's from the same source. Now, this event is called the cold moon, and the moment of deep spiritual significance, meaning a time of introspection and preparation for the new year, like we've been talking about this entire year, at least the end part, right? And this end cycle. And as we approach the end of the year, this understanding the moon and the spiritual meaning is essential for anyone looking to align with that universal rhythm. Engaging in full moon activities can deepen your connection with this celestial event. You can do some moon bathing, step outside and just let the light drip over you and breathe it in. And we're going to take some of this energy when we do our meditation. We're going to have an extended meditation so that we can really get to the core of where we need to get to right now at the end of the year. So there's a lot of things we can do, a lot of water. Some would call rituals, some would call rites, some would call being able to cleanse. But since Cancer is a water sign, incorporating water into different prayers, meditations, having a fountain in the background can be very powerful, considering like a cleansing bath with sea salt and essential oils. And this is how we get, if you use certain salts, like Epsom salt, you can get magnesium. So these minerals are really important, and we'll talk about that. Now, December's full moon influence extends beyond the individual and brings a calming, nurturing energy that can inspire empathetic and caring community initiatives. And we're kind of seeing this also with the ceasefire, right? Everybody's kind of coming together and saying, hey, can we take a second? Can we just take a breath? Just maybe another breath? Maybe another breath? And really start to reflect on the actual achievements, like the good and being supportive and empathetic and improving humanitarian efforts. And this full moon is an opportunity, again, to have something illuminated that's been hidden possibly all year. And if it's coming out now, sometimes it can be a little emotional. Sometimes we need a little break, right? So we're going to take a little bit of a time and do some meditation. As nature may to be appear dead and lifeless right now, looks can be very deceiving. The seed, even though it's still a seed, is contemplating on being a plant. That takes energy, energy that we feed with water, air, soil, and eventually in the spring, with enough intention, what does that seed do? That seed grows into a beautiful plant. So it may seem counterproductive to pause and stop and reflect, but that's what we're going to do in the next couple days. This is a magical season of transformation. You can really get a lot of benefit when you want to change your life, when you're not happy with the way things are. A great quantum physics trick is asking your mind how, and it will show you. It'll flip through all of the files, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, it'll come up with it, and you'll be like, oh, that's it. Isn't that always how it is? All right, so go ahead and start to close your eyes. Start to take some deep breaths in and out. Even breath in and even breath out. About 4 or 5 seconds each, allowing your breath to fill your lungs, allowing yourself to feel the energy, the space around you. Pardon me, Zoom decided to be funny. So go ahead and keep breathing. You know, life has little distractions sometimes. We're just going to keep breathing, keep recognizing those blockages, that impedance of energy. Wherever you feel tension, wherever you feel something tight within your muscles, whenever you feel somewhere that is blocking that energy flow, I want you to breathe into it and send love right there. I want you to send love to those sore spots. I want you to send love to that spot that needs that attention. I want you to send love throughout your body. We're going to take in our air and our light through our hand, and put your one hand up to the sky and gather all of the energy that you can. As you sit up nice and tall, align those chakras, that endocrine system. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Ah. Ah. And we say ah when we exhale, because that is an 8 hertz tone. Words that we have for God on this planet incorporate the sound of ah, which is the space of awe in your mind, which is a space between thoughts, a space of peace, and where God lives. So when we can increase our space of awe, we can increase our ability to connect to Christ consciousness. Just keep breathing. We are going to be doing a very extended meditation right now. Just keep your eyes closed and breathe through any sore areas. Breathe through any energetic blockages. Those energetic blockages are there to show you what you need to focus on. Allow the full moon to highlight these blockages. Allow the full moon's energy to show you what you need to focus on. Allow that flow of energy to really sync with your mind, your body. And as we come into a universal consciousness and a space where we can attune to that frequency, we let go. We let go of our expectations. We let go of our need to control. We let go of our ability to predict. Sometimes being able to hear those messages can be quite intrusive and scary, but we're going to embrace and love. Just keep breathing in, equal breath in, about 4 or 5 seconds. Exhale. Ah. Inhale. Exhale. Ah. And really focus on what it is that you want to be able to manifest for the next year. What is that? What does that look like? Does that look like peace? Does that look like prosperity? Does that look like working with the cycles of the planet and God energy better? Does it look like starting your own garden? Does it look like giving yourself some food freedom? Does it look like drinking clean water? Does it look like giving your body the minerals that it needs? What does next year look like? Envision it, love it, see the people, see the happiness. Really, truly harness that. Manifest it. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Just as the moon controls the water in your body, controls the water on the planet, and the water is so important as it flows effortlessly. There is no impedance to water. And we need to flow like water. We need to be cleansed with that clean, living water. And we need to give a space for that water to flow freely within your body. Those living waters inside your body. As long as our chakras are aligned, as we breathe in, exhale, the base chakra, the root chakra, as we align it to the sacrum, as we take a deep breath in, exhale. Moving on up the navel, solar plex, deep, deep, deep breaths in and exhaling. Next in line is the heart chakra, 5,000 times more magnetic than the brain, flowing effortlessly, creating the toroidal field around you with that heart song. So breathe into that. Exhale. Amplify that heart song. Allow that vibration to flow and vibrate at the highest frequencies that it can. Even when people are not vibrating at that same frequency, we will continue to show love, to allow that light and living water to move effortlessly through us. We are going to be that beacon of light in a dark world. We are going to be that smile that lights up a room. You are part of calm. Let that be your guide. Let the feeling that you get in this moment guide you through the rest of the week. As you take deep breaths in, we move up to the throat chakra. And we know that our breath and our words form our existence, and they form our world around us. That vibrational tone from the heart comes out through the throat chakra and creates life, creates experience, creates our world, our reality. As we align it with the third eye and the cranial nerves, as well as the sacred secretion area and the pineal gland that mixes with the golden melatonin, the head, creating a pathway to the divine. And if we can align and keep that pathway straight, our Christ consciousness can flow effortlessly, like a ladder up to the heavens through the mind. So we clear our mind of negativity, we clear our body of stress, we clear our body of impedance, and we take deep breaths and allow our exhale to amplify the love around us. Ah. Allow that energy to flow in through one palm of your hand. Allow love to amplify that energy and breathe it out into the world. Breathe it out into the cosmos. And with your breath, and when two or more people come together, thy will be done. So mote it be. This is our reality. With Christ, we create reality. And you have the power all year long to harness that energy, to work with that energy, and to be able to tune into that energy. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Just allow that feeling to wash over you, head to toe, relaxing every muscle in between. Next year will be better. Our perspective will be better, and our 12 cranial nerves of discipleship will be able to be discipled. You're going to work hard to hold this feeling of knowledge and consciousness throughout the year in our situations that might otherwise deter us from our goal of being a enlightened and light being. Beings of light and love, not just during one time of the month, but all month long, every month. Deep breath in, exhale. Whatever you're manifesting, make it so. Whatever you feel in your heart, let it go. Let the world hear your heart song. So the entire world can sing along. I'm just going to stay in this space for a second with your eyes closed, breathing lightly, feeling that space in between thoughts, not letting thoughts come in. And if they do, you count your breath. Even breath in, even breath out. 4 seconds, 5 seconds in, and equal breath out. What is your intention for next year? And how do you plan on it manifesting? With that intention, send it out into the world. Be thankful. Live in gratitude and hold that special space of gratitude, because we have the power to connect to Christ consciousness. We have the power to change the energy frequencies around us. We have the power to love. We can choose any path, but when we choose love, God walks with us and we walk with God. That internal source of life, light, love, and gratitude. Okay. If you'd like to stay in this space a little longer, go ahead and pause the video. Ah, feels good to be on a good frequency. It feels good to be in a happy place. It feels good to resonate with that higher intention, right? Welcome, welcome. Again, welcome to Church of Healing Ministries. I am Reverend Jamie, and this is Christmas Eve. So this is the 4th week of Advent. Let's see. And yeah, I figured. I thought it was the candles, and I was going to have the candles in the background, and it just was not happening today. I had to verify. It was, yep. So churches will light 2 candles and discuss the 4th week of Advent: the candle of love and the Christ candle. Apropos, don't you think? I think it works pretty well. So that's kind of what we've been talking about this entire time, right? Like, we have been talking about light and Christ oil, and being able to inspire that Christ oil to be the divine light and to shine, harnessing those 12 cranial nerves, or those 12 disciples, into discipleship in the mind, in the tabernacle, lighting that menorah, the chakras, in alignment with Christ and your external world. The flame that doesn't go out, right? Your internal flame, your burning bush. We've talked about that before. The burning bush, that's a fun one. That internal flame that does not go out. Now, like I said, I didn't really expect to be doing a sermon today. Totally messed that up. But here we are. And I just wanted to really go over what we've been discussing the last couple weeks. We have really been going over a lot of this sacred secretion, how to work with it within your body. What if the Bible was really giving us a physical and a physiological explanation through the text? And with that, we see various possibilities. which is pretty interesting. And it brings us to understand the Bible just a little bit more. And it helps us understand the Torah just a little bit more. And it helps us understand the Quran a little bit more. And these ancient texts, there's a lot of code, there's a lot of words that mean something that we don't understand because it's not in our context. Bet, right? Like, who would think that that means okay, or you're right, or something? But now, bet, like, that's just anything, literally anything. Um, in the 60s, it was right on. In the 90s, it was cool, whatever. Now it's bet. So, however language develops, really knowing that helps us understand the context of the meanings of the words as they were written. Okay, so we're going to dive into this a little bit more in a little bit. It's such a good meditation. I love that. That felt good. That feel good to you guys? So we've been talking about the Christ oil, or the CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, the water of life, the substance that is our life source. The cerebral spinal fluid oil flows from the brain and the spine. And in Colossians, St. Paul speaks of Christ as the head of all parts of the church that are fixed and nourished. And this is parallel to the physical fact that from the brain, the CSF, or Christ oil, nourishes the entire body. Also, man is a microcosm. The existence of the outer universe exists in his inner universe. As above, so below. Right? So our petroleum is a major commodity on earth. So major, the countries wage war over and over, and we have an entire industrial war complex because of oil. And the petroleum within us is irreplaceable in value. Right? That's CSF is, once it's gone, it's gone. It's not a renewable source. And the laws of the exterior world rage on its frequency, its purity. Petra means rock or mineral, as in rock salt or mineral salt. Oleum means oil, and rock poured out of the rivers of oil. Now, petroleum is a mineral oil. CSF is a type of mineral oil. Also, the petroleum industry, nitrogen's used to draw up that oil from under the ground, and this reflection of this is happening inside the temple body when nitric oxide helps to raise up the cerebral spinal fluid. And when we talk about Kundalini and we're talking about rising that Christ consciousness, right? Kundalini awakenings utilizes that consistency, that basic DNA structure of the entire body. So the mineral base that's in the chemical layer of creation is parallel to the Kundalini on the energetic layer of creation. And it's our inner flowing around our brain through the 33 vertebrae. Now, when Christ lived for 33 years and resided in the tomb 2.5 days, we see this exact same thing with the cerebral spinal fluid going down the 33 vertebrae. Christ, Christos, Saint Nick is the same person. Santa Claus, colostrum. So Christ lived for 33 years, was holy because he kept his mind and soul in a state of love. And that's why, yes, there was a real person, but the real person embodied the understanding of what this metaphysical and physiological understanding of the body was. So because this was an example of purity, after the age of 13, from 13 to 20, 25, 23, well, there were some unknown years there. He had a lot of learning to do. They don't want to put that in the Bible, because if they put that in the Bible, that would make Jesus look less than human, and then you wouldn't want to follow him as a divine being. However, Jesus as a kid was, he would have been so annoying to have as a student, let's just say. He knew everything. And he didn't fall into, this is how you should be, this is how you should act. Even though it goes against God, this is what you should do. He was like, no, I don't believe that. You should listen to me. And they were like, I'm sorry, what? I can't teach your kid. Hey, Mary, come get your kid. But he had this 33 years of being holy. And this is why the saying cleanliness is next to godliness, keeping your mind clean, your actions clean, your thoughts, your words clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So his life teachings are a metaphor for the type of transcendence and super conscious that we can actually attain in the human anatomy. We observe with our nerves, right? How nerve muscles and other systems of the body are centered and anchored to the spine. That's not a coincidence. Trust me, mine's been ripped open. I have metal rods down my spine, nuts, bolts, pull wires, bone grafting, bone fusion, and I can absolutely tell you everything is connected from there. Absolutely. I lost my sense of smell. I have nerve twinges in one part of the body. All of a sudden, another body part twinges. It's ridiculous. But absolutely all connected through the spine. Okay, that is our life source. That is the pathway, the road, the ladder to heaven, right? Like that is how when we have a toroidal field, it emulates, starts in the heart, and that heart is the center of that toroidal field to illuminate energy and come out and back down and around, and you flow. It's a constant state of flow. You're constantly vibrating. You're constantly in a state of motion. Your energy is constantly in a state of flow. So the spine is a delicate, resilient instrument or rod of splendor and filled with the replenishing water of life, the mineral oil, or the CSF, according to King Solomon, forms the sole accord of microcosmic temple bodies in our connection to the universal microcosm. And so this is the divine fluid that lives, and bodies are manifested via the CSF in the spinal cord, and the human brain in the spinal cord, and subsequent organs that we experience life through development of CSF, or spinal marrow cerebral spinal fluid. So this was historically known as spinal marrow. So that your bone marrow, right? So what flows in between your vertebrae. I wish I would have known this when I was 15 before I had my back surgery. But if they don't tell us this stuff, right? If they don't let you know, if they hide it from you, they can disrupt that cycle. They can disrupt your endocrine system with plastics and hormone disruptors. They can disrupt your connection to frequency through creating mass frequency changes that also create mass hysteria. So when you don't have that 432 hertz, and we're at what I think we attune now to 444, thank you, Rockefeller, we at that point have disrupted our ability to hear the messages clearly externally. We have to go inside. We have to go introspectively. So the spinal marrow, it is part of the lymphatic water system. It is all other bone marrow as well. And this glorious substance, in its various forms and consistencies of thick, squishy marrow to fine, runny oil. All the stem cells of the body are born and proliferated and differentiated, meaning all of the billions of stem cells that make you form and develop in or by this divine substance. Every single one. It touches everything in your body. The cells form from the mineral cell salts presented within the oil. The word salt is actually derived from the word cell, and the French word for salt is cell, like legitimately. All of the mineral salts in the Christ oil are builders of cells. So you have magnesium, you have potassium, you have copper, iron, zinc, phosphorus. These are really important in your body. No fast food's going to do it for you, ever. You are not going to get these minerals with GMO foods, with GMO vegetables. You have to either grow your own or buy from a regenerative farm. Some organic isn't even going to get you the minerals that you need because they're using hydroponics, and they're not necessarily using the best quality substitute ingredients. So we do what we can, right? Let's start growing our food. And that's that intention that we're setting. Even though we might not be good at it now, it grows, just like the plants do. Trust me, you'll kill a lot, and that's okay. It does kind of hurt. It does kind of hurt a little bit. You put energy into this little tiny being, and all of a sudden you come back the next day and it's all super disheartening sometimes. You just got to stick with it. It'll be okay. Now, when it comes to these cells and builders of our body, this way, the secret brotherhood that the I don't want to say the names of the secret brotherhoods, but they all have a handshake, right? Now, the secret brotherhood has many codes and symbolizes this magical fluid birth of all the cells and life. For example, the masters of the lost word MVABAVN means Moron or marrow bone. And Freemasons are taught Moron handshake, right? It signifies the power and intelligence of the divine liquid or oil or marrow. And the actual cells, the mineral oil, living water, and the water springing up into everlasting life. It's all very connected. And again, this is a hypothetical. We're looking at it as if it were a physiological explanation on the body. However, it's pretty compelling, and it's actually scientifically proven. So for me, I'm pretty convinced that there's a lot of things going on in our ancient text when it comes to understanding mind, body, soul, how to live in Christ, how to be able to understand these stories. Some of these stories happen, some of these stories are metaphors, some of these stories are just thoughts from somebody, some of these stories are tying into other stories. So it's very complicated. You can't really read the Bible as a literalist, especially when our language is so distorted, right? I'm not going to say morning to you anymore because I don't want you to be sad. Our words hold weight. Our words mean something. Weekend, I'm not even gonna say have a good week. I don't want you to be weak. So our words are very important. Now, the Christians that dedicate their lives to maintaining the purity and frequency of the internal crystal streams, making them the immovable light race of power, ascension, and healers Healing, purification, and regeneration begins with that living water. So just think of sailing, right, on salty mineral oil solutions, given support and detox. Now, when you go to the hospital, that's exactly what they give you. They give you saline, right? They give you mineral solutions. And to detox patients and assist with immune functions, helping detoxify the brain by absorbing and removing toxins. And the metabolic byproduct of thoughts and removing toxins can help the metabolic byproduct of our thoughts and emotions. It works on all levels. So our spines are kind of the weight of our entire body. And at the same time, being a pipeline for the most crucial liquid, and literally all voluntary and involuntary motion depends on this mineral oil. As stated in Elevation, the study of the book of Revelation, the CSF ventricles, which are shaped like a lamb's ram. So in the mind, where the CSF comes from, there's a part of the ventricles that come up and around, and it looks like a ram's horn. So this is where we get that crown, that lamb or ram's horn, our microcosmic understanding of God, with showering with a river of life. So imagine a ram's horn here and water coming up and showering and cleansing the mind. Clear as crystal. So out of the throne of God, the Lamb, there is an intrinsic relationship between our CSF reservoir and the moon cycles, the 29 and a half day cycles. This phenomenon isn't just known as a sacred secretion. It's also known in other cultures. When you study the Quran and when you learn about the Moors, it talks about the monthly cranial respiration cycle. And after after 3 days, spirit of life from God entered them upon their feet. 5 days mentioned in the scripture and in other books signify the appropriate 3.5 day time phase at the moon in each birth constellation or zodiac during its monthly orbit. So when the moon goes into your sun sign, so when the moon is in Sagittarius for me, which is last month, it was the 13th, which is ironically, it actually goes along with the female menstruation cycle too. For me, it does. It works right with it. And so it's really interesting to see that line up so perfectly, because when we're talking about rebirth, when we're talking about being able to give life, have children, right? And these cycles, when they say it's really difficult to have children, well, or get pregnant, if we followed these cycles, worked with our natural hormone cycles and the energy of this planet, would it be as difficult? It's a question to ask. So this 3.5 days is also parallel time that Jesus spent in the tomb, and the time phase of each individual purifying frequency, raising the sacred secretion or super conscious awakening practices, because natural man is receiver of God energy to dominate your body, mind, and soul of the waters of Christ. Christ fully cleansed, and by the moon's gracious cycle, a certain controversial doc once said that everyone must perform eventually. And this is the purification of the mineral, for it has become the Christ or the holy oil, basically basically reiterating the Bible verse, thou least righteousness and wickedness. God anointed the oil of gladness. The moon star alignment in the brain receives the astral photon, the light flux constantly, and the presence of Santa Spirit Claus. So every cell or house in the body gets a CSF storage field and a conveyor of light energies. And this is why Santa visits every house. The CSF fluid visits every cell. And CSF is the most electrically conductive fluid in the body. And our breath charges it with every inhalation. Just like a breeze will rise a fire. When the CSF is cleansed from the residuals of toxic thoughts, emotions, chemicals, it reaches its highest potential and becomes a nectar for the gods. So imagine, with our technology around us constantly disrupting our system, the sugar that we eat, the foods that don't have nutrients, the water that's contaminated, and now we can't even get real meat without it being grown in a lab. This is really that time to pull away from societal norms. Whatever they're going to be doing from here on out is going to be against human health. It's going to be against Christ. It's going to be against you in elevating your consciousness. Now, when this happens, you shall be anointed with fresh oil. Spiritual awakening is largely remembering and reactivating of our natural human power that doesn't need to be driven by AI or any other synthetic substance. So remembering is facilitating by the health, purity, and vibrancy of our internal river of life where Christ lies. So it's known as implicit order. The moon and our waters of life work in tandem in this phenomenon. It's also known as like I said, the monthly cranial respiration cycle. Now, it also mentions in the scriptures the 12 disciples being 12 zodiac signs, also referencing 12 cranial nerves, also referencing 12 spaces on your body where you ingest energy. It's very interesting. So the Bible necessarily can't be read verbatim with an understanding that we have today with our words. Now, this is where we get the Santa Claus, right? Santa Claus has been this red and white figure. Well, we get that red and white figure from the agar-akan mushroom. Now, the agar-akan mushroom is a hallucinogenic mushroom, and this hallucinogenic mushroom opens up the third eye, opens up the consciousness, and helps that pathway, helps that Santa Claus, that sacred secretion, be able to vibrate higher. When you are able to increase your neuroplasticity, you have more pathways for God to enter. So I don't know if I can do this without like drawing it out. So imagine your brain, and when you're very first born, imagine, oops, imagine a billion pathways. Uh-oh, my phone's dying. That's terrible. IG, we might have to cut this short. I'm so sorry. I can't find my charger. So let's say when you're born, you have a billion pathways running around in your brain. And it can be very scary. Let's say you can see light spectrum that adults can't see yet or anymore, right? Because we don't need to. And that's why we don't see what some people see. Some people haven't lost that. Some people didn't allow that neuroplasticity to diminish. And when we are able to really look into our own thoughts on how we perceive things, it affects our entire existence. So when we work with these energies, when we are understanding of the cycles, we can actually cleanse ourselves from the toxins, from the terrible things that happen on this planet. 12 glands. That's right. There's 12 glands in your physical body that are primary, and they help with your spiritual connection to the cerebral spinal system. Those glands are in different areas, and so they're like energy points. And when you're looking at a toroidal field, go ahead and search. I'm not going to say Google, but go ahead and search. They don't own search. So go ahead and search toroidal field and just look at an apple. And look at how an apple itself has the seeds in the middle and the energy spirals around it. And it's reminiscent of the 12 disciples. Now, we were talked about this too. The 12 disciples, the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob. Now, it all can be grasped by reading Revelations chapter 7. And after you've read Genesis chapter 49, you see a difference of the two names between the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 sons of Jacob. So a lot of people think that they're different, but they're not. One is before the Enlightenment, and then one is after the Enlightenment, after you have been enlightened with the Christ oil. After the 12 apostles represent the glands and describe a New Testament, so that we see a difference in the approach of the old man and the new man, the physical man, the spirits within. So when you look at your immediate area, right? In everybody born in that immediate area in that 30 degrees has the same perspective. But when you can go outside of that, and when you can defy your own limitations, you can get a 360 degree. And this is where true knowledge is able to come together. So we're going to go over a little bit of the 12 disciples. And how the living waters, and pretty much wrap up from there. So these 12 disciples, let's go to what they mean in the astrological signs. So Philip is Capricorn, James is Sagittarius, John is Scorpio, Bartholomew is Libra, James of Elias is Virgo, Thaddeus is Leo, and Judas is Cancer. And no, he's not Scorpio. He's Cancer. Gemini is Thomas. Simon is Taurus. Simon Peter is Aries. Andrew is Pisces. Matthew is Aquarius. And then we go back to Capricorn, Philip being Capricorn. Now, the disciples, when he called into discipleship, they give the power to heal unclean spirits and cast them out. So, all men are sickness and all men are disease, Matthew 10. One of the 12 disciples represents the 12 qualities of the mind, which can be controlled and discipled if in discipline. And that's the key. That's what we got to be learning, right? How to discipline the mind and work with the cycles of the planet so that we can elevate. Now, this year has been quite a year for elevating, let me say. So the 12 qualities of men are potential of the mind, discipled, their actions resemble more actions. So when they're not discipled, when the 12 qualities of men are not discipled, they act more like a mob than they do a trained, discipled army. So when your mind isn't trained and the disciples aren't pulled into discipleship, your mind is in disarray. So when we pull these 12 disciples into discipleship, we can get a better understanding, and we can connect to Christ consciousness, heal, and not just be living in upheaval all the time. So the names are not given to them until they're called into discipleship. They are Simon, who is later surnamed Peter, Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, James, and the son of Thaddeus, Simon, Judas. And the first to get called into discipleship is Simon, or the attribute of hearing. The faculties that were lifted to the level of disciple permits only such impressions to reach the conscious mind as to which is here it is committed to let enter, right? So whatever is Simon allows into the mind, that's it. And this is why Simon has to be super discipled, right? This is why you have to really be disciplined on what you let into the mind, which is why he was surnamed afterwards, after he was able to be a disciple and be that guard of the mind. And I'm not quite sure how much time we have, so I'm going to go into it really quickly. The attribute of hearing, so Simon, who becomes the rock unmoved, right, is able to hear, but it doesn't faze him. He has his beliefs, he has his knowledge, and that's that. Doesn't bother him. Now, sorry, I got something in my eye. The second one we have is Andrew, who is the discipleship of who embodies courage. So it takes faith and courage when hearing something that doesn't resonate, with the cognitive dissonance, right? So most faith these days is like conditional faith expressed as a wishful prayer or partial, limited, and pretty incomplete. It's hopeful thinking at best. And what we desire may one day manifest made real, but true faith is about embracing the consciousness of oneness with the universal mind and Christ consciousness, that we are omnipotent. And this is not blind faith, this is understanding faith. Happy are those who have not seen and yet still believe. John 20:24-29. Now, the law of faith that is according to your faith be done unto you. If you have little faith, so if you don't really know what you believe, then you'll believe anything. I think we have a couple conspiracy theories that we understand that with, right? But when you understand your faith, you don't need to believe just anything. Faith and courage are muscles that we need to be strengthened through exercise to cultivate patience and perseverance. Now, number 3 and 4, justice and love, is John and James. Justice is to be wise and disconcerting, and love is the ability to turn away from violence, hate, and evil and see good in all times and in all people. The heart is unconditional and always filled with love, no matter what the appearances. It offers forgiveness and all things that only sees perfection in imperfection. The discipled mind never criticizes or judges. Right? We cannot elevate by criticizing or condoning others. It doesn't work. You can only be free by letting others be free too. This 5 is the state of consciousness, or Philip. To remain 100% in alignment with the universal mind is to be one with at all times. This is the pure state of consciousness. Number 6, the imaginative faculty is Bartholomew. So this is the art of having your imagination flourish, right? Those who are awakened by this faculty and the power of imagination is head and shoulders above the masses. They are the 1% of the 1%. They radiate light and empowerment. This is the people that in the room of darkness, they are glowing. Like you literally see them as a ray of light. Those are people that have mastered Bartholomew. Now, 7 is the discipline of doubt. This is Thomas. It may seem like a strange discipline, but doubting and showing indifference to everything is not consistent with inner alignment and self-expression. It is the quality of denial. We deny any suggestion of ill health, even in times of sickness. We distance ourselves from lack, even when we observe lack. No matter what is expressed in the press, the news, the radio, media, whatever, we do not give it credence. We don't look at it. We don't go, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to get sick now. You don't have to do that. You don't have to subscribe. Don't subscribe. Number 8, the gift of God or the universe, Matthew. A discipled mind that knows that our desires and expressions of God are gifts of God within us, seeds waiting to be sown and harvested, which is why every year we go through the cycle. And now we're here going, okay, well, if this didn't harvest this year after I tried to manifest it, why not? Why is it not working? What do I need to do different next year? So, yeah, God wants us to enjoy and live a full life, to savor the fruits of creation on this beautiful, bountiful planet, and relish in true love and connections to yourself and others. So, if we experience pain and struggle, it's how to move on. It's how to still live in light and love. Number 9, the quality of discernment, James, the son of Aphelius. Now, discernment is the quality of a clear and ordered mind. Clairvoyance is clearly seeing through insight and intuition. This is the capacity to understand and knowledge that which is seen without attempting to overreact and overanalyze. You can feel it and you don't have to think, oh my God, did I just hear voices? It's okay. Sometimes they just need to be really loud for you to hear them. Now, the power to take a step back and see the things from a divine or enlightened perspective. Most of us encounter conflicts, abuses, disputes, aggressive and hurtful behavior at some point in our lives, and I'm sorry for that. This can often lead to anger, resentment, fear, denial, a whole range of negative emotions, stress, PTSD. It's common for us to blame someone or something for our state of affairs, but this is a victim mentality. So we adopt the disciple of discernment, where we can quickly change awareness of heart consciousness. When we learn to understand and recognize and discern what is happening around us spiritually, we can love the person and hate the sin. The spiritual discernment is a practice that can be cultivated very successfully to benefit the collective good, so the collective consciousness. Number 10, the discipline of praise in Thaddeus. This is the spirit of praise and thanksgiving, so living and breathing gratitude, seen, all things seen and not seen. Just be thankful and opening the doors to abundance. Thanksgiving in faith that our desires are already accomplished. Because if you want it, you can have it. Number 11, the discipline of hearing good news, Simon of Canaan. So Simon was the one that basically was like, I hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, just all of those things, and was taken to the king to be put into jail. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. They're like, no, you're going to jail. You're going to live there forever and you're going to be a prisoner. He's like, no, that's not going to happen. So he goes to he gets there. He ends up sitting next to the king, having dinner with the king. He's not a prisoner at all, but kinda, but not really. How'd that happen? He is mastered Simon. Simon has mastered himself. This is a story of how to not believe it. No, I don't think that's going to happen. You're never going to get your degree. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm going to get 2. Number 12, the quality of being willing to die. Judas. Not many understand the true meaning of the resurrection story, But in order to create a new self or to be reborn in this detachment, you have to let that part of you die to be reborn again. Detachment is strength. It's hard to detach. It's hard to break that cord sometimes. But the insight and perseverance and courage to let go of what no longer serves you and the collective good. We give ourselves over to the new self, a new friend that is always loving, joyful, peaceful, happy, calm, and we give up the old consciousness in order to embrace the new. So those are the 12 disciples. When mixed with the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 cranial nerves, the 12 glands in the body, the 12 oh my goodness, I lost my mind. Oh, the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 sons of Jacob. When all of these come together and understand the old versus the new understanding, we can understand the ancient text a little better. Now, when we're talking about, and this was just really deciphering the Bible this year. Next year, we might, and the Torah. And next year, we might go into a little bit more of the Quran. We might go a little bit more into Egyptian texts. I'm not quite sure. What do you guys want to research and dive into and enhance your spiritual knowledge of? This is also Spiritual Literacy Month. So let's increase our spiritual literacy so we understand what's going on, right? Do we wanna learn more about the Jewish culture? Do we want and faith? Do we want to learn more about Hindu? Do we want to learn how you tell me. So this next year, this last year, we talked about how important water is, breath, the sacred secretion, and working with the cycles for the planet and what we need. So next year, I'll take into some of your insights into consideration, what you guys want to hear, what you guys want to do, and we'll be able to come up with a game plan for next year so that we can understand the world around us through Christ consciousness. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here. Namaste. God bless. All of the things. Merry Christmas. Kwanzaa. I see you. Light and love, and be that light and love. Have a happy 2024. Bye-bye.